It's the school holidays, so welcome to East Midlands Airport as I fly down to Lanzarote with TUI in a 737-800. Thanks for joining me, and do of course subscribe if you're interested in seeing more. I'm not sure if I got lucky or if this is normally how check-in is for TUI at East Midlands, but it was a breeze, absolutely no queues. We walked straight to the check-in desk. Here's our jet for the day, a 737-800 in this unusual white livery. Oh, there's no escape from duty free, is there? Anyway, here's our jet for today, this 13-year-old Boeing 737-8K5. As you know, I like a lounge before I fly, but one wasn't available today. It was full, ultimately, so we had to make do with this rather lovely bar at East Midlands Airport. What a view! We experienced an hour or so's delay, but soon it was time to think about getting on board, which was good. And as we arrived at the check-in area, it was pretty calm and straightforward, although that didn't last long, because as soon as the flight was announced, my goodness me, there was a huge stampede for the flight, and we were soon in a rather large queue. Now, big queue aside, we actually got on board relatively quickly. Just look at how full the apron is now, full of TUI and Jet2 jets off to somewhere nice and warm. Now, whilst I wouldn't write home about East Midlands Airport, it's pretty small. I have to say, all of the staff we came into contact with TUI at East Midlands were brilliant, so well played. Who doesn't love a bit of retro boarding, particularly when the sun is shining? We head out to our all-white TUI 737-800 and pass a number of other jets, including one that's painted properly a bit further down. Built in 2011, initially flying for Jet Air Fly, this aircraft has also been owned by TUI Airlines Belgium, Sunwing, and more recently Miami Air International. Back to boarding then. A nice warm welcome, and here we are in the cabin in the typical 3-3 layout. Now remind me to talk to you about row 12. I'll come back to that. The cabin was nice and clean and looked in good order, and aside from LED mood lighting in the ceiling, there isn't really much else to talk about, to be honest. Now, I actually took these shots on our return journey. I would just say, look at the space around the exit seats, it's pretty good. I found the seat pitch to be really tight. Our flight to Lanzarote today will be 4 hours. That's quite a long time to sit in seats that don't have IFE, don't have any power supply, there's no Wi-Fi, there's not even any headrests. So, not the best seats in the world, I'm afraid. Cabin announcements were all done and we were ready to go. There's my knees again. Let's now talk about row 12 and a bit of row 11. Now, what sort of an av geek books a seat with no window? That's right, row 12 has no windows, and the left hand side's row 11 doesn't have a window either, kind of one in between the seats. You might want to check on this before you fly. Now, obviously I made this mistake in honour of all of you and to save you the time and trouble of making the same mistake yourselves. Well, if you believe that, you believe anything. Anyway, pays to check before you fly. We were soon underway and given clearance to move out to the runway. It was a beautiful day to fly. Now, aside from cheap parking and relatively small passenger numbers, East Midlands has a massive cargo facility. Check out this DHL 757 and behind it a couple of 767s. fairly quick taxi, we were turning onto runway 27 at East Midlands, ready for our departure. I guess the pilot was trying to make up some time following our hour-long delay. If you like what you see so far, do please subscribe, like and follow me if you would. I'd really appreciate it, and thank you. Music off, let's listen to the takeoff.
Are you going to try it out?
And we're up. What I really love about flying on holiday flights in particular is the amount of kids on board who've clearly never flown before, and you could just hear how excited they are to be up in the air. Kind of reminds me why I got into all of this in the first place. Anyway, here's us in the cruise and some beautiful sights as we start to get closer to Lanzarote. I missed a bit. There are air vents that you get to control. Hurrah! Now, it won't look like it from the camera view, but this was quite a choppy landing. Lanzarote is a very windy island, certainly no exception today. A firm touchdown brings us into Lanzarote, and here we are getting off the jet and looking at the various other jets that are parked up at Lanzarote, bringing holiday makers for a week or two in the sun. With all-inclusive drinks and sunbeds already becoming a distant memory, we were back at Lanzarote Airport, and I thought I'd show you this outdoor terrace where you get to watch the planes and you actually get a really good view of the runway too. I'd recommend it if you're airside and you have a bit of time to kill. We flew back on a jet that was actually painted this time. I thought I'd include the takeoff on our return too, as it was a really lovely view. And here's this jet's details for those that are interested. With the mountains and such in the background, it looks a bit like you're taking off from the moon. Anyways, I'll shush so that we can listen to the takeoff. So TUI was fine both ways. I'd say only fine. The aircraft had very limited facilities on board. The seats were just okay. The legroom was very, very tight. But again, I am 6'4", so I sometimes have to just put up with the fact that I'm never going to be comfortable in economy. I really miss things like having a power socket. There was no Wi-Fi either. So for a 4-hour trip, it was just okay. Anyways, here we are getting off at the other end at East Midlands. Interestingly, even though you walk to the plane, you have to be bussed back to the terminal. Odd. Been great to have you along on this latest adventure. Thanks again for looking at my video. Look forward to seeing you again soon.